Hey guys, Cruiser67 here, bringing you the first ever episode of What's Up With. And for What's Up With, basically we're going to be talking about cards, we talk about decks, we talk about archetypes. It's basically a discussion episode. So on today's What's Up With, we're going to be talking about Fire Kings. Fire Kings are the big fire deck of the format, along with Fire Fists. And they saw some play really right after Mermails got big, and they came out in the OCG. I was actually one of the first people to play. I think like when these things first came out online on Dueling Network, I was like, oh, that's really cool. I saw this boss monster, and I was like, oh my god, it's fantastic. So for this episode, we're gonna be talking about what's good about Fire Kings, why they're so popular, why they're so badass, and just basically stuff like that. I'm going to be coming up with another video after about how to beat this deck, but I'm not going to talk about the same thing. So, starting off, we're going to talk about Fire King monsters themselves. We have Fire King High Avatar Garunix. It's a level 8 winged beast with 2700 attack and 1700 defense. This thing, I think, is comparable to like cards like Master Hyperion and like Grapha. Actually, I think this is that's actually a really good thing. Garunix is kind of a combination of Grapha because it can come back all the time, and Master Hyperion because it destroys shit. So for those of you who don't know what it does, during the next standby phase after this card is destroyed by a card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon it from the grave. Now, this is really great because a lot of decks use like things like Dark Hole or Torrential as outs, and this thing survives. But the best thing is, when you do, destroy all of the monsters on the field. So let's say you summon Garunix and it's Torrential. During the next standby phase, it comes back and wipes the entire field. It basically has a Dark Hole effect when it's special summoned. When it's special summoned by its own effect, which is crazy. This card's not affected by Necro Valley because it's its own effect. It's honestly the best thing ever. When you combo it with things like Onslaught or a Circle, it's just really, really amazing. And its secondary effect's not that bad either. When this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon one Fire King monster from your deck, except Garunix. So you can summon Barong, you could summon Kirin. If you're playing OCG, you can summon Yaksha. And that's pretty good, I find. Because again, you can combo these with Circle and get Garunix back. So this boss monster is really up there as far as boss monsters go. It's a level 8, so if you get multiples of them out, you can get like here it is, Hieratic Sun Dragon Overlord of Heliopolis out. You can go for a bunch of other level 8 exceeds, ranking exceeds. But what I find is great is like if you can get one Garunix, then destroy it, and then summon another Garunix, so that when the one that was destroyed comes back, the other one gets destroyed, and it's a constant loop of destroying shit on the field. It's fantastic. I think it's a really OP boss monster, but against stuff like Mermails and stuff like an OTKU in like 3 turns, it's a good out. First, I'm actually going to talk about Yaksha first, even though Yaksha isn't in TCG yet. It's an OCG only card, but if this thing were to come to TCG, Fire Kings would become so much more popular because Yaksha is practically the engine of the deck online. So it's a level 4 Beast Warrior with 1800 and 1800 attack, 200 defense. And if a face-up Fire King, its effect is when a face-up Fire King monster you control is destroyed by a card effect, you can special summon this card from your hand. All 3 Fire King normal monsters have that, not the Fire King High Avatar. So the Fire King avatars have that effect. But the good thing about Yaksha is its other effect. If this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can destroy a card in your hand or on the field, and they'll be activated once per turn. If you don't understand what that means, think about this. All the Fire King monsters get their effects when they're destroyed and sent to the graveyard. Barong is when it's destroyed by a card effect, and Garunix when it's destroyed by a card effect. Yaksha's destruction effect is a card effect, so you can destroy a Barong like on the field or in your hand, and then get a search effect next turn. Or best thing, you have Garunix in your hand, you get this thing destroyed, you get a Garunix next standby phase that just destroys everything else on the field. It's so great. There are also multiple uses with this. Yaksha's effect also works. I've seen some players use it with Yubel. I actually run a Fire King / Yubel deck because Yubel's effect is that Yubel by itself, no player actually has a good response to Yubel. You're just, you see Yubel on the field against you, you're just there like, well, what the fuck do I do? Because it brings out its other forms when it's destroyed. Now, what you go with Yubel is like, if you have Yubel in your hand, its effect is that when this card is destroyed, except by its own effect, its owner can special summon one Yubel Terror Incarnate from their hand to your graveyard. So it summons this. If you action on the field, it gets destroyed and sent to the graveyard. Destroy Yubel in your hand. Since it says this card is destroyed, when this card is destroyed, so you can destroy it in your hand and then get Yubel's effect to summon Terror Incarnate. I mean, and then you have a monster that can't be destroyed by battle, that you take no battle damage from, and if it's attacked, you inflict damage to your opponent equal to that monster's attack. And during your end phase, it destroys all the other monsters on the field. That's insanity. And if they manage to somehow destroy this, you get this out, which not only when it's attacked, the attacking monster is destroyed, and you inflict damage to your opponent equal to its life point, equal to its attack. It's when this card battles. That's crazy. So I've done that before with the Yubel and the Yaksha plays, but sadly Yaksha's only OCG, so you can't do that in TCG. I'm going to talk about Barong now. It's also a Beast Warrior, also 1800, also 200. It's also got the same effect as Yaksha, where if a Fire King is destroyed by a card effect, you can special summon it from your hand. This effect is actually really good if you go for like Garunix and Onslaught, but I'll get to that later. Barong is basically the searcher of the deck. During the next standby phase, after this card is destroyed by a card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can add a Fire King card from your deck to your hand. So you can add Garunix, you can add Kirin, you can add you can't add Barong, but you can also add Onslaught and Circle, and that's crazy because a well-timed Circle is fantastic, and always Onslaught plus Garunix is just fantastic. That's why Fire Kings are so notorious for this combo for Onslaught plus Garunix. So I think Barong's pretty good. Every deck needs a searcher. Now Kirin isn't that high in price. Obviously, Kirin is a level 3 beast with 1000 attack and 200 defense. Not a lot of people talk about Kirin because it's not that great, but I think in TCG Fire Kings, you can utilize Kirin a lot more and to your advantage. So it's got that special summoning effect, and its other effect is this card. If this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can send one fire monster from your deck to the graveyard. So what I see, instead of having Yaksha to destroy cards in your hand, what you could do is send all of your cool fire monsters to the grave, like Garunix, or Sacred Phoenix and Ephesians, whatever, and then go for Circle, or go for like Call of the Haunted, which could also, or Call of the Haunted, which would bring back Garunix. And I think Call of the Haunted could be used actually really well, because if Call of the Haunted, you can chain Call of the Haunted to destruction and then like destroy a Garunix that's in your graveyard and get its effect next turn. Because if Call is destroyed and the monster's on the field, Call is destroyed, which destroys the target. So Garunix would be destroyed by Call's effect, which sets off its own effect. That's how I see Fire Kings running, sending your fire monsters to the graveyard and then bringing them back to get destroyed, because you don't have Yaksha to destroy cards in your hand and stuff. And you can spam Circle of the Fire Kings so hard with Kirin's effect. That's why I think Kirin can be utilized really well. And so yeah. Now we're going to talk about the spell cards. Onslaught of the Fire Kings, I think, is one of the best spell cards in the game. Honestly. So, if your opponent controls a monster and you control none, you can special summon one Fire, Beast, or Beast Warrior, or Winged Beast monster from your deck, but its effects on the field are negated, and it will be destroyed during the end phase. You can only activate one of these per turn, but you don't need to activate multiple of these per turn. Okay, let's say your opponent goes first, you go second, you activate Onslaught if they have a monster on the field, you get out Garunix, you don't even have to attack that turn. And during the end phase, since Garunix is destroyed, it'll come back next standby phase and blow up all monsters on the field. Crazy. It's really, really insane. All of your Fire King monsters, their effects resolve in the graveyard. So, Onslaught's negating effect doesn't hurt you at all. And the destruction during the end phase is still good because it gets off their effects. You could also go Onslaught into Sacred Phoenix of Nethithis, which is the same kind of thing as Garunix, except it's got less attack, and it has a heavy storm effect. It destroys all spell and traps on the field when it's destroyed by a card effect. During the next standby phase, it comes back. So that's why I think Onslaught is awesome. Just Onslaught plus Garunix equals game, practically. The only way you can want to get rid of this is like Solemn or Dark Bribe. So that's why I like this. Circle of the Fire Kings is actually again one of my favorite spell cards, because it's, well, let's just talk about it. It's a quick play, so you can set it and then activate it. And what it does is you target one fire monster you control and one fire monster in your grave. You destroy the first, and then special summon the second target from your graveyard. And again, you can only activate one of these per turn. So this can work. This thing is like Gemini Spark on crack, honestly. Like, let's say you have Barong on the field. No, actually, best case scenario, you summon Barong, they go bottomless. You're like, okay, Chain Circle destroys Barong, so that during your next standby phase, you get its search effect, and special summons another fire monster from your graveyard. So, boom. Boom. And all of these monsters, well, okay, except the U-Bells. And you can go for any fire-type monster. It doesn't have to be a beast or or a wing beast or a beast warrior. That's why I think Circle is fantastic. You can avoid destruction with Circle. You could... there's so many things you can do with this. I actually think that, I'm not sure about this, but I think you could like attack, then during the damage step, chain Circle so that your monster's destroyed, your opponent still takes damage, and then you can attack again with your special summon monster. I need to check on that though. So yeah, that's why I think Circle is great. So those are actual Fire King monsters. Now I'm going to talk about cards that can be comboed with it, but I'm going to go really fast over it. Brushfire Knight. Just because this thing allows you to send fire monsters from your deck to the graveyard, it's kind of like a Kirin, so that's where I think the TCG Fire King is TCG Fire Kings are going. So yeah, Flameveil Fire Dog. I see a lot of Fire King builds with this, just because your your Barong and your Kirins have 200 or less defense. If you don't know what a Fire Dog does, when it destroys a monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, you can special summon one fire monster with 200 or less defense from your deck, except Fire Dog. And Fire Dog's got 1900 attack, so it's pretty good. You can go combo this with Flameveil Magician, and then go for an easy level 8 synchro like Stardust or Scrap Dragon. Let me just bring that up for you guys. Or Scrap Dragon. I see... And again, an OCG card, Enthusiastic Beastman Wolfberg. You can target one level 4 Beast Warrior Fire type monster in your graveyard and special summon it in defense mode, but its effects are negated. Again, great card, except it's an OCG. You can special summon Barong and then go for an easy rank 4 XYZ, or you can go for like Yaksha, because if you're playing this, you're playing OCG, and then wait till Yaksha gets destroyed to destroy something in your hand. Those are your examples. I already talked about how U-Bell could be used, talked about Sacred Phoenix and Nethithis. I see a lot of mixes of Fire Fists and Fire Kings, although I'm not sure about that personally. I don't think that's the best way to go. It's either one or the other for me. Tenki is a great card in any deck. I play this in windups. I play Tenki in windups actually. But Tenki's great just to get your Barong, or if you're playing that, you play Yaksha out. And it gains 100 attack, so it becomes a 1900 beat stick. That's why I think Tenki's good. Rekindling is broken in Lavels, it's broken in this deck. Especially if you're sending all kinds of fire monsters from your deck to the graveyard with Kirin or Brushfire Knight, you summon Rekindling, you can XYZ spam so hard with those rank 4s. So yeah, as long as I'm talking about rank 4s actually, Diamond Dire Wolf I think is a really great card for this deck. It only requires 2 level 4 monsters. It's got 2000 attack and 1200 defense. But it's basically got a Scrap Dragon effect. You can detach one Xyz material to target a Beast Warrior, or Wing Beast monster you control, and one other card in the field and destroy them. You can destroy your own Diamond Dire Wolf, or you could destroy one of your Fire Kings, which would then activate their effects. That's why I think you could go really, really plus with Diamond Dire if you get your other monsters out on the field. So anyway, guys, that was my tidbit of the day on... that was What's Up with Fire Kings. I'm going to be posting another video up on how to deal with Fire Kings. So yeah, come see that after. Alright guys, Christian67 signing off.